homework. In spite of it being easier, I still did struggle. I still had a hard time understanding the lectures and what I needed to do. I still had to ask questions after class, and it still took a long time getting book-related assignments done. The computer-related stuff, like drawing and stuff, was much easier, but when I had to do the book work, it was much harder. I was starting to notice more and more about some of my sources of my struggle. A lot of it was short-term memory. If I didn't write things down, I would always forget things. This school had one thing that was tough about this school, it had a zero deadline policy, which meant if you forgot to do an assignment on a project, you would receive an automatic 0. This usually meant you pretty much had to drop the class and retake it over again. In spite of my focus now being on graphic design, my interest in power lines still continued. I still doodled power lines. I drew power lines in class. Sometimes I even went on small drives and road trips around the area to look at power lines. I still pretended it was from a power utility that I made up. I really enjoyed doing that, and it provided some excitement during this year. I also enjoyed looking at all the trees and the heavy forests in the area. I used to love driving in the back roads in the middle of the forest, and the feeling almost got me an eerie feeling. For the rest of this year, I continued going to college and working at the hotel, and I tried making friends. I had trouble making friends, and I didn't make any this year. Everyone seemed to have such busy lives. Even though the people that I met in the area seemed to be less judgmental and it was easier to approach to compared to Grosse Pointe, I still found it difficult to stop someone in the tracks and talk to them. I found it even more difficult to talk to them long enough for it to make it appropriate to ask them as a friend. Asking someone to do something and making plans of them never seemed natural. I made endless effort on trying to make friends, but I never found any solid friendships this year. I increasingly missed having friends and hanging out with my friends in Michigan, and wished I could have hang out with my friends in Michigan. And I wish I had some friends like that here in South Carolina. But so far, it just never seemed to happen, in spite of my effort and determination to do so. Every day I looked forward to taking a trip up to Michigan to visit everybody. I saved my money so I could go up. Dad and Nancy didn't want me to go, but I went up to Michigan anyway, and I actually did it 3 times this year. I went up one time during March before I got my job and started school, and another time during the summer. That time I snuck up and didn't even tell my parents. I didn't even know I was even gone, and went for a week. And I went again around Christmas. When I visited during the summer, I drove the whole way up. It was a 900-hour drive, and I drove up there straight through. I stayed up the whole night and drove all the way there straight through until I got up there. And then I was just so excited, I didn't even want to sleep. Once I got there, I hung out with Jared and all my Asperger's friends and Dave Boucher and all the people I used to hang out with there. And I had a lot of fun, of course. They were even excited to see me. When I hung out with them, it was like I was still living there. I saw Nikki a lot and spent the night with her at her house. I saw Dave Boucher. We chilled really hard at night like we did. We talked about philosophy and partied. It was well worth the several-month wait. When it was time to head home, I immediately looked forward for the next time to go up to Michigan. I learned a lot more wisdom that helped me with my spiritual awakening process, awakening to greater good. I learned more how to master loving acceptance and suffer less perspective and find inner peace. I learned that one fundamental thing I learned that helped me understand inner peace to a greater level was I learned that we were all connected. I learned, in other words, that we were all made in the image of God. I learned that we are all, since we are all made in the image of God, I learned that we are actually everything. We are part of the universe, and we just believe that we are not. But once you believe that you are part of the universe, you pretty much can feel in the presence of things. That I really like that idea, and it seemed to make sense. I've learned that in science, the theory of entanglement means that we are actually connected scientifically. I also learned that electrons actually flow pretty much through everything. Pretty much an electron actually flows through everything and all at once. And that seemed to confirm it too. And that seemed to kind of be a good source that proves that to be true. I also learned another awesome concept that helped me be in a loving acceptance subtlest perspective. I learned that pain doesn't make you suffer as long as you believe that it doesn't. I've learned that in truth everything is enjoyable. I've learned that good and bad is all perspective, and that you can choose to learn to enjoy everything, even if you're outside in the cold or you pinch yourself. I actually pinched myself in the arm and actually allowed it to not bother me, and actually kind of enjoyed it to a certain level by the perspective of doing that. I learned really everything is good in truth. It's all perspective. You can pretty much love everything and be in a state of love and peace at all times, no matter what happens. It's just a matter of learning to do that. I also learned about the law of attraction, which this means, since we're all connected, we're all part of God, we can pretty much connect to whatever part of the universe you want to by simply setting your intent on that. In other words, when you do that, you're kind of creating. We can basically create whatever you want in life by simply believing it on a deep level. I learned that everything in the universe is made up of energy, and that this energy is what creates thoughts, emotions, feelings, sounds, and physical form. I learned that when you focus on something, you're bringing that energy to your awareness. This is called consciousness.